of miles a month, their shoes would disintegrate. And they would have to tie clothing onto their feet. And when earlier in the war, when George Washington's small group of troops went to Ticonderoga, these big giant British guns, the biggest guns in the Western Hemisphere, gigantic, huge cannons, and they hauled them a massive distance. I forget how many miles. Guys, look up how far were the guns of Ticonderoga dragged through the snow by George Washington's troops. Just a few hundred of them. And the last 10 miles or so, you go to the exact story, there was blood, just a solid red blood in the snow in deep winter because their shoes, from the weight of dragging those cannons, like something like 70 miles, some ridiculous number. Look it up. How far the Revolutionary troops dragged the guns of Ticonderoga. When they got there, 300 miles. See, my memory was just saying 70. Now it's 300 miles, and none of them had shoes. When they got there, they had bloody feet in snow. You ever walk through icy snow roads? You ever walked out when it's freezing just to get the newspaper and you know, the dog gets out, so you run after it, and your feet, you know, is in the ice, and how bad that hurts? Imagine hundreds of miles, and by the time they got there, none of them had shoes, but they had the prize that they'd taken that fortress, and they'd killed the British troops, and they'd hauled those guns down off the mountain, and they were going to drag those sons of bitches. Those men had the hearts of huskies until they died, and some did die hauling those guns as a victory. Nobody had a whip popping them. Nobody had to tell them to do it. They were just told, go destroy the guns. If memory serves. I haven't read the story. I read books about it, 20 years ago. But they said, no, we're not destroying these guns. We're hauling these guns back. Guys, pull up the guns at Ticonderoga. I think they melted them down and made smaller guns, but just comparative guns. I mean, we're talking, cannons like, I think 40-something feet long. I mean, huge, giant iron cannons. I should reread on that and actually do a report that's accurate, because I'm going from vague memory. So that's what we're talking about. That's what we're talking about. Now, that's who we come from. The guns of Ticonderoga. And that's your real heritage, folks. So those are winter soldiers. I'll be honest with you. I'm not as tough as those guys are. You think our, quote, best special ops troops today with no shoes could drag guns 300 miles through the snow? And again, something like the last 100 or so, they had, almost none of them had shoes. By the end, none of them had shoes. And I don't want to spend the whole show on this. I'm going to move on to the stand down, the Secret Service, all confused.